要与国际合作部副部长奥加利女士阁下发言，有请。
Mr. President, Your Excellency Wang, Foreign Minister of the People's Republic of China, Sierra Leone commends the People's Republic of China for convening this important high-level open debate on the crucial topic of practicing multilateralism, reforming and improving global governance. At this critical moment in global affairs, this debate affords us the opportunity to reaffirm the foundational principles of the United Nations enshrined in its charter, including sovereign equality, non-interference, peaceful resolution of disputes, and collective security. I also thank the UN Secretary-General, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, for his instructive briefing. Multilateralism has been the cornerstone of international peace and security for 8 decades. As we approach the 80th anniversary of the United Nations later this year, it is a moment for reflection, to celebrate its achievements, acknowledge its shortcomings, and reaffirm our shared commitment to building a more just, equitable, and effective multilateral system. The United Nations was founded in the aftermath of the devastating Second World War with a solemn pledge to, I quote, save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. Over the past 8 decades, multilateralism has been pivotal in preventing and addressing conflicts, promoting peace, and advancing development. Yet, despite global wealth increasing, we face growing inequality both within and among nations. With 700 million people living in extreme poverty, constituting 8.5% of the global population, our world is beset by unprecedented challenges, including conflicts, pandemics, humanitarian crises, climate change, and technological disruptions. These require urgent, collective, and innovative responses. To address these pressing issues, let me highlight 4 key points. First, Sierra Leone strongly believes that multilateralism remains the best means to address global challenges. As the UN Secretary-General rightly stated, there is no other way to deal with global challenges than with global responses organized in a multilateral way. However, for multilateralism to be truly effective, it must be inclusive, representative, and results-driven. Our multilateral system must adapt to the changes in global economic dynamics, population, and influence. In particular, women and youth, as major stakeholders, must actively participate in policy making and development processes. Moreover, developing countries, especially in Africa and the Global South, must have a stronger voice in global decision-making. To this end, the UN Security Council, as the cornerstone of international peace and security, must be reformed to better reflect current geopolitical realities and ensure fair representation. Nearly 80 years since its formation, the Council remains outdated with its imbalanced composition, undermining its legitimacy and effectiveness. In this regard, Africa remains the most glaring victim of this inequity. Without structural reform, the Security Council's performance and legitimacy will continue to be questioned. As we reflect on the theme of reforming and improving global governance, it is crucial to recognize how Africa's exclusion from decision-making bodies such as the Security Council and the multilateral development banks hinders the continent's ability to contribute meaningfully to global governance. The legacy of colonialism, economic exploitation, and political marginalization has left deep scars, impairing Africa's development, stability, and influence in international affairs. In noting the African Union's theme of the year 2025, Justice for Africans and People of African descent through reparations, rectifying the historical injustice perpetuated against Africa must be operationalized with the urgency of now. Mr. President, the Pact of the Future, adopted in September 2024, presents a critical opportunity to revitalize global cooperation and coordination based on trust, adaptability, and flexibility. The close cooperation between the Security Council and the African Union, Peace and Security Council, in addressing conflicts on the African continent demonstrates a commitment by both institutions to achieve the objectives of Action 21 of the Pact for achieving lasting peace and security. Recognizing the critical role of regional arrangements in preventing and resolving conflicts, this collaboration must be strengthened. Sierra Leone calls for concrete steps to implement the Pact's ambitious commitments, especially those related to the UN Security Council reform, bridging governance gaps, strengthening international cooperation, and reinforcing international law. Addressing inefficiencies and inconsistencies, particularly in improving the working methods of the Security Council, will enhance its legitimacy and capacity to implement the Pact for the Future and other forward-looking peace and development strategies. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown that addressing global crises requires more than just force. It requires innovation, agility, trust, and the sharing of information and expertise. These same principles must guide our efforts to prevent wars and deliver life-saving aid. Mr. President, secondly, the erosion of the rules-based system threatens global stability. At a time when unilateralism, protectionism, and disregard for international norms are on the rise, the role of international law in maintaining peace and security cannot be overstated. We must reaffirm our collective commitment to the principles of the UN Charter and upholding international law. A fair and consistent application of international law is essential to uphold the credibility of the global governance system and ensure peaceful coexistence. The Security Council must lead by example in upholding international law. The Council's resolutions must be implemented effectively and consistently, and international agreements and rules must be adhered to without selectivity, partiality, or double standards. To further strengthen multilateralism through international law, we encourage member states to utilize international judicial mechanisms as tools to address shared global concerns and disputes. In other words, judicial settlement of disputes, which gives significant expression to Article 2, Number 3 and 33 of the UN Charter. Third, the challenges of the 21st century extend beyond traditional security threats. Non-traditional security issues, including climate change, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, terrorism, and food insecurity, demand urgent and innovative global responses. These crises disproportionately affect developing nations, exacerbating their vulnerabilities. To address this, we must enhance capacity building, foster information sharing and technology transfer, and strengthen international cooperation to ensure no country is left behind. Fourth, the digital divide remains a critical challenge in our quest for equitable global governance. Many developing countries lack the infrastructure and resources to leverage technological advancement and digital transformation. Sierra Leone urges the international community to support initiatives that promote technological capacity building, digital inclusion, and fair access to global supply chains, ensuring that all nations can fully participate in the global economy. Mr. President, strengthening the role of the UN and Security Council requires unity, not division. We must set aside geopolitical rivalries and embrace dialogue, cooperation, and collective problem solving. Despite the varying socio-economic and political conditions of our countries, the scale and transnational nature of many global issues demand collective action. In these instances, multilateral frameworks are indispensable in preventing catastrophic consequences. The tools available to us have largely maintained a rules-based multilateral system. By improving these tools, we can better serve humanity. This includes strengthening resolution and peacekeeping mandates for clearer, more responsive and contextually relevant action, enhancing collaboration with regional entities to ensure faster and more agile responses to crises, promoting comprehensive peace and development strategies, and bolstering accountability mechanisms for human rights violations. In conclusion, Mr. President, Sierra Leone urges all member states to recommit to the core principles of the UN Charter and work towards a Security Council that is responsive, representative, and accountable to all nations. We reaffirm our unwavering commitment to multilateralism as the most effective framework to address global challenges. Sierra Leone stands ready to contribute to meaningful reforms that will enhance global governance, uphold the international rule of law, and promote a just, peaceful, and prosperous world for all. I thank you.
感谢